Hi everybody, it's Maria and welcome to my studio. I have a fun project today to use some lights that I found at Target. These are string lights and I just happened to be in their dollar sort of Mod Podge section, whatever they got going on there. And I found these lights and they're so pretty. And actually they were pretty sturdy and they came in these different designs. There's 3 different designs here, the silver, the gold. Look at how pretty that is. Each one of these has a different design embossed on them, and these are the pink ones, and they have these out usually at Valentine's Day. And I took a little closer look at them, and I noticed that they're actually pretty sturdy. They're very sturdy, as a matter of fact. I don't think you could really crush these, and they're a nice size, so I thought they might make a really cute pendant. So I picked these lights up, and they're about, each one of these hearts is about 2¼ by 2 inches, which is a nice size pen. It's a larger pendant, but it's a nice size if you want to wear it a little bit longer. And they have these lights on them. They're string lights. So all I'm going to do is take these apart. I wasn't sure how they would come apart, but they actually came apart fairly easily. And they have this plastic sort of grip there. It's really easy to pull those out. Now, you don't have to reuse that grip, but I kind of like it. That top metal piece there is not way sharp, but I thought that the plastic might give it a little extra cushion. So I just sort of played around a little bit, and you can, if you're careful, you have to be a little bit careful and kind of twist and manipulate and be careful not to actually break the light to pull that plastic piece off. And it comes off relatively easy, but you'd have to be a little bit careful. And then it fits right back in there and provides a little extra, comfort, I think, for wearing this. So once I got these apart, which was pretty easy to do, I'm going to go ahead and get my other supplies out so you can see what I'm going to use, because I want to embellish this a little bit and make it just a little bit prettier. So I'm going to be using a head pin, and this is about 2-inch head pin. You need to make sure that your head pin is long enough because we're going to do a wrapped loop, so at least 2 to 3 inches. I have these little seed beads. They're I think they're 8/0 or 6/0 seed beads, and then I have these pretty pearls. These pearls came in a also got a bead cap there, and some head pins and some jump rings. The tools that I will use are a pair of wire cutters, some chain nose pliers, and then I have these really cool wolf pliers, which I've showed you before, but I want to show you again because I really like these. They have little grooves on them, and it makes it really easy to make 3 sizes of loops with these. If you think you'd like to try a pair of these wolf pliers, I do have a link in the description box below, so check that out. I think you're really going to like these. So this hole, when I use a head pin, it's obviously not going to hold it. So I thought that I would try these little seed beads, and they fit in there pretty well. So that'll act as a nice stop bead. I am going to glue them with some super glue just to make sure that they stay in there. So I'll take that plastic piece and just apply a teeny little bit of super glue. And then I'll take my head pin with the seed bead. Sorry, a little out of frame as I try to wiggle that in there. And you can see that I'm just really pushing it in so that it's just inside the plastic cap. And then that'll dry up. I'll put a little bit of glue in the top of this and put the other seed bead in. This seed bead was a little bit looser, so I will just make sure it's got good contact with the glue. And I will set that aside to dry up. Okay, it's dry. Now I'm going to put the cap in, but I do want to put a little bit of more glue just to make it extra secure. So I'll put some on the plastic piece. And you don't want to apply too much glue, but you want enough that it's all around it. And then I will just insert that. And there you go. I'll set that aside to dry. Now it's dry, and we're going to make the wrapped loop, and this will be what hangs on the actual chain or cord that you're going to use. And I've put the bead cap on, and the only reason I put the bead cap on is because I thought it made it a little bit more decorative, but you don't have to use that bead cap if you don't want to. I just thought it was a nice touch, and I had some, so I went ahead and used them. I've made a bend in that wire. It's probably about 1/4 of an inch up, and then I'm using the largest loop on these wolf pliers, and I will just snug that up against the bend, and then I'll just start to curve that wire around, and I'll move my pliers so that I get the loop all the way around. And this is going to be a wrapped loop, so I'll just straighten that up a bit. You can see how nice that loop is, and it's a nice big loop, so you can use lots of different cords. So I use my chain nose pliers to just hold that loop, and the other chain nose pliers to wrap it. So I'm wrapping it right up against the top of the loop, and I'll wrap down. And this will probably take 3 wraps. And you can see that I'm just moving that wrap around, trying to be as neat as I can and keeping those wraps fairly tight. And just keep wrapping it. Sometimes you gotta play to get a little bit of a grip on it, but you can see that it's fairly easy. And then I've got 3 wraps there, and I'll just use my pliers to clean that up, tighten it up a little bit, and then I will use my wire cutters to just cut off any excess. Okay, that's what it looks like. Now, I think that actually could be pretty just like that if you wanted to put a pretty velvet cord or grosgrain ribbon or something like that. But I do have these pearls in my stash, and I wanted to see what it might look like with a pearl dangle. And so I've got some eye pins, or head pins here actually, and I'll just thread that on to the pearl. We're just going to make a simple loop. These head pins have the little ball at the end, which I thought was kind of pretty, but you certainly don't have to use that. Use whatever you have. And actually, that's the fun part of this project. You can just use any kind of beads that you might have in your stash, or none if you don't have any or you don't care to. So I'm going to cut the excess wire, since these are just simple loops that I'm going to make, and I'd say that's about 1/2 inch off. And I'll take my pliers again, and I'm going to use the smallest loop, and just go ahead and make a simple loop. Make sure that your wire's flush with the top of the plier, and then just rotate that around. Rotate it around, and then break the neck. So you just basically are, pulling that back so that the loop is straight up. And I'll do that for the 7 beads that I'm going to use in this clustered loop cluster that we're going to make. So now I'm going to take my jump rings, and I've got 4 jump rings. These are maybe 4 6mm jump rings, and I will open them up using my 2 chain nose pliers. And don't forget, when you're opening these jump rings, you're not pulling them apart, you're actually twisting them open, and that way you won't distort the jump ring. And I will add 1 of my dangles, and then I will close that up, close the jump ring. I see I have a little bit of blur here. I hope you can see that okay. And then that forms the first part of my cluster. Now I'm going to take another jump ring and open that up, and I will thread the first dangle on. And then I'm going to take 1 dangle and put it on the right side. So you want it to be on each side of the first dangle, so the right side and then the left side. It on the dangle onto the left side, and see how that's starting to form the cluster. And for each of the remaining 2 jump rings, we'll do the same thing with. So we'll close that one up, and then you see that I've got the center, the first one, and then 1 on each side. Now open up another jump ring, I think these clusters look really pretty, and you can use any kind of beads that you have. I'll show you at the end a little variation that I did that I thought was really pretty with some leaves and some red beads. So there you go. I've added another jump ring, one on the left side of the previous dangles and one on the left side. And then I will close that up and see how it's starting to create a really pretty cluster dangle. Okay, and we will add the last one. Open, and then one dangle on the right. And one dangle on the left. And I'll close that up just so we can take a look at what the cluster looks like, because that's as many beads as we're going to put on. That's 7 beads. You could make it much bigger and fuller if you wanted to. And isn't that pretty? The pearls are really nice. So now we'll apply it to the heart pendant. And I'm just going to open up that jump ring and put it right around the wrap of the loop. And you can see that I'm just putting that on. And then I will close it up. And there you go. It's as easy as that, really. It has nice movement when you wear it, and it looks really, I think, really pretty. So the last thing to do is really, I've just got some chain in a matching gold color, and I will just apply that chain. And this is how the pendant looks. And here's a little bit of a close-up so you can get a better look at what it is like. And then, as I mentioned, I tried out another variation, and this is just to use some lucite leaves and some red beads that I have, and that gives it another kind of more casual look. I hope you've enjoyed this project to take some string lights from Target and turn them into a really pretty heart pendant and add whatever kind of embellishments you might like. Thanks for joining me in my studio. Please consider subscribing, giving me a thumbs up, or leaving me a comment. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for joining me. Take care.